If my math is correct, this is New Year's Eve. I always forget because I go by the Mayan calendar. But I'm going to put this up on the vault. A couple years ago, I did a top 10 countdown of the top 10 videos of the previous year. I don't remember if I've done it more than once or not. I couldn't even find the old video. Don't know where it is. It's gone in the mists of time. I'm sure I've got it someplace. But so what I did is I went and pulled up. I actually revived the computer that's directly beneath this camera. I haven't used it since I moved to the new studio. And so one of these days I'll see if I can do a live stream from it, but one step at a time. So here's the thing. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The top 10 videos of this past year. That is, which videos got the most views in just this past year. So YouTube's got all kinds of great stuff. They give creators like myself, they have a dashboard where I can go and look up statistics and figure out all kinds of stuff. And they slice it up really, really well. And some of it's very, very useful. And one of the things that is very cool is to go back and go, okay, what were the 10 most watched videos on my channel last year? Coming in at number 10, clerk denied time off, quits, and the entire town shuts down. Now, I like that story. And that was the one, exactly what that sentence says. Small town back east someplace. Clerk was working really, really hard and thought to herself, I'd like some time off. She asked for some time off, and they said, no, you can't have it. She said, fine, I quit. And then the town had to shut down because it turns out that's how important she was to the job. So don't know whatever happened with her, but she's our hero for doing that. Number nine, police handcuff man inspecting his own home. I try not to do clickbait titles. I want my titles to be literally true. So when I said that clerk denied time off, quits, and the entire town shuts down, that is what happened. Likewise, when the police handcuffed the man, he was inspecting his own home. So you can guess what might have been going on there, but of course we never know what happens in the minds of other people. But that one did quite well. Someone was asking me the other day, it may have been Mark Phillip. I hope you're watching, Mark Phillip. If you are, I wish you and all my other friends a Happy New Year. But I was discussing with Mark Phillip a couple days ago, and I mentioned that I was surprised that the food lawsuit videos don't do better. Right now I'm getting bombarded with people who are saying, Steve, you really need to do a story about the woman who's suing Reese's over the pumpkins not having faces on them for jack-o'-lanterns, and she wants like $5 trillion gazillion dollars. And the problem is I do those videos, I think they're hilarious, and nobody watches them. They don't do the way, they don't have the performance I'd expect them to have. So he said, what things do your audience like to hear about? And I said, well, if the word police is in the title, it often gets some attention. So police handcuffed man inspecting his own home. Now, the very next one came out not so long ago, and it, of course, is one that you understand exactly why it went crazy. Number 7, HOA board arrested. Now, technically, it's a 3-word title if you count HOA as a word. And but everyone also seems to dislike HOAs. And discussions about HOAs do quite well on my channel. So when you hear that the board, which is the core, the nerve center of the HOA, when you hear that the board's been arrested, people go, hey, a feel-good story. So that was a story, I believe, out of Florida, where an HOA board was accused of mishandling funds that they had in their possession because HOA boards also control a lot of money. Number 6, I titled The Greatest Story Ever, which I admit is an attempt at clickbait. But I did that not attempting to be clickbait because I honestly thought it was the kind of story that everyone is going to enjoy hearing. And the headline, the actual thumbnail said, city pays truck driver $500,000 for bad arrest. And that's the one where a truck driver showed up someplace he was allowed to be and was apparently, I think, waiting for someone to help him unload or give him access to something. So he was near his truck, near a business, waiting for somebody, and he had every right in the world to be there. And a cop showed up and said, what are you doing here? And rather than sit there and play 20 questions with a cop, the truck driver, who had better things to do with his time, basically blew off the cop. Now, there was no indication that he was rude to the cop or anything like that, and he certainly hadn't broken any laws. And so the police officer arrested him. And the city paid $500,000 as a result. So I titled that The Greatest Story Ever, and I think I would stand by that as being, Steve, pick one story from last year that you think was just a really good story. Yeah, city pays truck driver $500,000 for bad arrest. That'd do it. Next on the list, and I guess this would be number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sixth on the list is Dave Ramsey hit with $150 million lawsuit. I don't know whatever became of that. Dave Ramsey, of course, dispenses financial advice on the radio. He's syndicated. He's got quite a few listeners, and a lot of people like him. I've listened to him, and I actually like him a lot as well. I mean, you think about the talk show hosts who just talked about stuff, like Bruce Williams, right? But most talk show hosts didn't just talk about stuff. They have some angle that they're coming at it from. Dr. Laura is all about the morality of modern dating and relationships and so on. Rush Limbaugh, of course, was political. And Dave Ramsey is all about personal finances. And so a lot of what he does, I have a great amount of respect for. But I simply pointed out that somebody filed a lawsuit against him. He apparently had not just an advertisement for a company that would help you get out of a timeshare, but he appeared to have endorsed it in some way. And of course, that company wound up going belly up. And some people are saying, hey, the only reason I trusted these people was because of the endorsement from Dave Ramsey. That was the allegation. I got a lot of angry emails written to me about that video. And I respect Dave Ramsey. I'm familiar with what he does. I've worked in radio myself, and I understand that what he's accomplished is quite remarkable. But I can also tell you that as a person in the media who gets pitched stuff all the time, I will be identified with stuff I sell. So if I come on here and hold up a toothbrush and say, you should consider buying this toothbrush, I understand that people are going to hold me on some level responsible for that. Now, whether I get sued or not is another thing altogether, but that's the real question here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just making sure I'm doing my math right because I didn't bother taking any notes, which would have made more sense. The number five video from last year was woman buys car, Hertz grabs it. Now, Hertz rental was the gift that kept giving last year and the year before. And they are apparently the worst managed company on the face of the planet. The number of stories they did where somebody rents a car and gets arrested because the car got reported stolen. Oh, that was a mistake. And so the number of lawsuits was just crazy. But here a woman bought a car, and then Hertz claimed it was their car. And again, Hertz, I guess, is just this company that's lumbering around, and they're almost like too big to control what they do. And so one department reports a car stolen while the other department sells the car. And they never got together and compared notes and said, oh, by the way, you need to report this car as not being stolen anymore because obviously we've got it if we're selling it. So a woman buys the car from somebody legally, and Hertz goes, no, that's ours. And so that was a good story. People like those. And by the way, starting with the Dave Ramsey story, Dave Ramsey and the woman buys car, Hertz grabs it. Both of those had 1 million views just in 2023, which is really, really good for my channel. 1 million view video is quite unusual. I think I've got about 5 or 10 of them now. But by the way, my channel just this past year, counting 2023 through right now today, so it'll get slightly higher by the end of the day, 92 million views. 92 million views. Number 4, someone built a house on his land without his permission. Again, a headline that tells you exactly what happened. And the guy bought the piece of property. He was planning on building something there himself one day. And somebody calls him and says, hey, dude, congratulations. I see you're building your house. No, not. What? Drives by, and it turns out somebody was building a house on his property. And that's actually happened more than once. I seem to recall doing a story out of Texas, and I think this one was east somewhere. So, by the way, I don't know why, because in reality, that's north, that's south. But in my mind, as I face the camera, I think that the camera is north. Don't know why I would think that. But, of course, that's a problem, because you're building a house on my property. I can come by and say, hey, get your house off my property. And by the way, I'm going to charge you for putting junk on my property. And I'm also going to charge you or sue you for trespassing, because you're trespassing. You're on my property without my permission. We talked about that before. So Number 3, the number 3 video from last year, 2023, your car is spying on you legally. And by the way, that video went up in November. Okay, it went up less than 2 months ago. It's already got over 1 million views, number 3 video, and it was talking about it. I was talking in the video about how much information your car gathers, and the fact of the matter is that it's considered legal because of all these different licenses and end user agreements that you sign. And so, I've got 2 Ford Explorers. One is an '02 that still has a cassette deck in it, and one is a 2019 that has an infotainment center in it with a built-in mapping thing. And I assure you, that's tracking me everywhere I go. And I assure you that information is being sold off by somebody to somebody, and I don't know. And do you want to know all the people who drove by this business last year? Here, you can buy the information. So a lot of people are disturbed by that. I am as well. But I think it's just simply the times in which we live. I don't know there's much that can be done about it. It would take legislation to stop it. And unfortunately, no one's got the will to do that because there's too much money being made. And I've even heard that the car companies are now looking and going, gee, our margins are so slim that unless we can come up with other income streams like, I don't know, renting you your own heated seats or, monetizing your data, we got to do this stuff to stay alive. And meanwhile, the state governments are selling your information also. So they can't really tell Ford to stop selling the information when the state itself is the biggest data broker out there. So we got that problem as well. That's number 3, your car is spying on you legally. Number 2, case over, attorney spots new font on old document. That is one that blew my mind. I've only been doing this 9 years. I was just a youngster when I started. I've been doing this for 9 years. 9 years. Okay? And if you said, Steve, you're going to do a video with the word font in the title, and it's going to do remarkably well, I would have called you a dirty, filthy liar. No way. No way. And I will occasionally put up a video where I go, but it kind of got me. Maybe other people will get it also. And I think what happened was a lot of people reacted to the idea about somebody getting caught, trying to pull a fast one, and they got caught. And there is something fascinating about a story like that, especially when it is an attorney. So attorneys got caught, and apparently a document got filed with the court, and somebody looked at it and goes, wait a second. That document is supposedly from back here, but that font didn't exist until here. And, it's kind of funny because there are some questions that arise when you look at typefaces and so on. But most people didn't even think about this stuff back in the days of typewriters where you had Pica and Elite. Were those the two? And you could actually get the replaceable ball head for the IBMs. And so there are certain typefaces that looked very, very common in the age of typewriters because they almost all had similar typefaces. But of course, when we went into computers and laser printers, suddenly you can go with all these crazy typefaces. And you'll recall the issue with Dan Rather and George W. Bush. It wasn't necessarily just a typeface. It was the fact that there's a superscript item on a document. So if I write like the 12th, 1, 2, and then TH, putting a TH up above like that, it's called superscript. And in the old days on a typewriter, you actually had to take the roller, I think it's called the platen, and roll the platen up a half space and then type the letters in and then put it back down and do that. And so nowadays, of course, if you're using a modern word processor and a laser printer, you can just tell it to do that and it'll automatically take the letters, shrink them down, and put them in place. But that's not what they were doing back at the time that the documents were allegedly created in the Rather Bush thing. So here, an attorney looked at it and goes, wait a second, that font ain't right. And it turns out it wasn't. So that's pretty cool. So that was a number 2 video last year. Again, never would have imagined a video about fonts getting so high up on the list. And then the number 1 video last year, number 1 video had 1.3 million views. 1.3 million views. City loses immunity defense due to a genius legal move. And I have to tell you, the sad part is that was at a trial court level, and it went up on appeal, and I believe the appeals court spun that around. So the Institute for Justice is involved in that case, I believe, and they are going to continue pursuing it and hopefully get it straightened out. So you have to remember that a lot of these skirmishes that take place at the trial court level are not the be-all, end-all of the story. They almost never are. And so somebody wins or loses at this level, and then somebody appeals it, goes up on appeal, sometimes gets kicked back down or goes up even further. And so the issues of immunity and civil asset forfeiture are never going to get resolved at the trial court level nor at the appellate court level. They're going to have to get resolved by the Supreme Court or by legislation. And I don't think anybody has got the willpower to do that at the federal level for a nationwide ban on civil asset forfeiture. Although people do keep talking about it and bringing it up from time to time, it seems to get a little further each time, but it's a long way off. But that was the number one video. And I think it's because people are fascinated by these stories involving immunity and how outlandish the idea seems. And then along comes somebody who goes, hey, let's try a different legal take on this and see if that'll work. And they got a court to allow it, but then up on appeal, it got, like I said, reversed, so that's unfortunate. But that was the number one video. So number one, city loses immunity defense due to genius legal move. Number two, case over, attorney spots new font on old document. Number three, your car is spying on you legally. Number four, someone built a house in his land without his permission. Number five, woman buys car, Hertz grabs it. Number six, Dave Ramsey hit with $150 million lawsuit. And by the way, when you see a number in a lawsuit, understand that's meaningless. I've seen people file lawsuits, they ask for $1 billion. And all the courts usually requires that you say the pleading is a dollar value above or below a certain amount. So in excess of $75,000 is the same as saying I want $1 trillion in a ham sandwich. What you want in your complaint ain't what you necessarily get. So usually big numbers like that are put in lawsuits to get headlines. Number seven, greatest story ever, which is about the truck driver and the $500,000 settlement. Number eight was the HOA board arrested. Number nine was the police handcuffed man inspecting his own home. And number 10, clerk denied time off, quits, and the entire town shuts down as a result. So those are the top 10 videos from 2023 with performance in 2023. I'm now going to, just for the fun of it, see if I can get myself out of this window here and just give you some other numbers. So let's see, manage videos, get me over here, go to the dashboard, go to the analytics, as we call it, and then ask for analytics for the entire year. So the year 2023, which is not quite done yet, but we have about 14 hours to go, 13 hours. Last year, this past year, 2023, my channel got 92.5 million views, 92.5 million views. And I picked up 102,000 subscribers, 102. So as of right now, I got 457,000 subscribers. I'm just plugging away, pick up a couple hundred a day, that kind of thing. And in case you're curious, I'm going to give you the lifetime statistics, which to me blow my mind. Since I started this channel, I have had 269 million views. 269 million views. That equates to a watch time of 32 million hours. Think of the wasted productivity. I've slowed down the advancement of our society. 457,000 subscribers, as I mentioned. And a lot of that's been in the last couple of years, obviously. So I am extremely grateful. And I mentioned I went and visited with my friends, the Institute for Justice, at a retreat they did out in California. Got to meet them all, talk to them about what they do, talk to them about what I do, and I was the keynote speaker. They had me talk, and I said, "What do you want me to talk about?" because the audience was attorneys from the Institute, people from the Institute, and then also a lot of their clients, but a lot of their supporters. There's three different distinct groups of people here: attorneys, clients, and people who just simply support the business, what the Institute for Justice does. And so they said, well, let's talk about what you do and how it ties in with what we do and how all of this kind of comes together. And I did that. I talked for about half an hour, didn't record it. I've had several people ask me that. It was not recorded. And in a roundabout way, I'm glad that's the case, because I'm being recorded. I'm more conscious of how I look and what I sound like. And I think I'm a little bit more at ease without being recorded. But I ended by saying something I want to say here, is that they invited me to speak there because my audience has been so generous in supporting the Institute. And they told me that. They said, the way you got on our radar is you talked about us, and every time you talk about us, your followers, subscribers, and viewers come and support us financially, and we're grateful for that. We want to thank you for that. And I said, so when they asked me to come here and speak about what I do, I did. I talked about what I do, my law practice, my YouTube channel, and explain how I got into all this stuff. But I ended by saying the reason I'm here speaking at the Institute, and the reason I'm here sitting in this chair right now, is not me and me talking. It's the fact that there's an audience that is there to listen and watch what I put up. And I understand that without that audience, what I'm doing here would be absolutely meaningless. I would literally just be a guy sitting in a chair talking to himself. So I cannot express the gratitude I have for my audience. And I hope that you understand that. I hope each and every one of you who sees this video understands how deeply grateful I am, because every single click, when you see a number like 269,939,729 views so far, each and every one of those was somebody who made the choice to watch one of my videos. And the 457,529 subscribers, each one of those is somebody who watched a video and said, I'm subscribed to this guy. And while we've been talking just now, picked up a few more subscribers. So I am extremely grateful for that. So I think as the year ends, it's a holiday season. Whatever holiday it is you celebrate or don't celebrate, it is a great time to reflect. That's why people do like New Year's resolutions and stuff. It's a great time to reflect on the past and where we're going. And I have to stop and thank you for watching these videos, putting up with me, and being there. Because without you being there, me being here would have absolutely no meaning or value to anybody. Okay? So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.